tell everybody I was in Girl Scouts, but I absolutely adore the 330 Peace Corps fellows we've had here, and love the work that Peace Corps does around the world, and we're so glad to continue being supportive of this community.
Awesome. So now that you know who are talking to you, we would like to hear a little bit from you all. So where are you joining us from? Where are you joining us from today, and what program are you interested in? And if you've already COS, you can state what country you served in. So we'll just take a few minutes to see your responses. Let's see who types the fastest. No.
Multiple attendees are typing.
So as I had mentioned, I am now a public health student, and I served in Peru as a community health volunteer. I worked up in the mountains of Peru. I'm actually wearing all my Peruvian garb today. All right, we have Brianna, who is a current community health PCV in Paraguay, singing an MPH. Wonderful. Sarah is in town. Awesome. You served in Uganda, so recently returned. Welcome back.
Jack.
Oh, that's from beforehand. Oh, okay. Jordana is living in Portland, interested in ESL, and served in Zambia from 2012 to 2014. Great. We have lots of folks who are coming down from Portland. Kara is a third-year extendee, like I was, in Paraguay. Awesome. And we have Colin in Texas, served in Panama. Also recently returned. Welcome back. Interested in the Natural Resource Management Program. And then we have our last attendee. Nicaragua, 2014. Agriculture and Food Security Volunteer. Awesome. And you're also interested in Agriculture and Resource Economics Program. Wonderful. Well, good news is that I believe we support all those programs. And we'll be able to give you more information today about how you can become a fellow here and continue your educational goals. So here's a little bit of an overview of what we'll be talking about today. As I'd mentioned, we'll be discussing the program, how we choose fellows, what sort of things you should be highlighting in your applications so it makes it easier for us to choose you, what kind of internships and the requirements that you are required to do as a Peace Corps fellow at the University of Arizona, what sort of jobs fellows get, and just what it's like to live here in Tucson. So here's an overview of all the academic programs that we support. We're at about 40 different programs here at the university. We just recently added nursing and law and the Masters of Development and Practice this past year. So if there are degrees, maybe some of your friends that aren't particularly highlighted on our website, ask them to email us, or you can feel free to email us and see if we can begin a relationship with that department. These are just all the programs that we already have a working agreement with. And we have community health, of course, the public health sector. We have a few fellows who are in the ESL program, the speech, language, and hearing science department. I don't know about that.
I think we've talked about that. We do work with speech and hearing sciences, and we're happy to take applicants from that program. We're glad you're applying.
And then we have lots of folks who are in the agriculture and resources, both the management program and the economics program.
Our visitors often ask, how do we select the incoming class? When do you hear back? How many fellows are accepted each year? So this is a photo of our current incoming class. The last 2 years we've had a fairly large number of students come in, 30 to 34, and our total number of fellows right now numbers 84. Our target has been 50 for the last couple of years, so we're a little over on size, but some years we'll have students that will stay for another degree or don't quite finish on time. So we have quite a few that will graduate in December and May. The number of the incoming class depends somewhat on our funding and what we can reasonably manage. So we take applications, as you know, that are written. And each application is read by at least 2 alumni of the program, which people may be here or all around the world. And we also have a staff review. And we look at the academic department rankings and admissions. You must be admitted as a degree-seeking student. And then we also are working with agencies in the community and try to be aware of what their interest and needs are and how the people who are applying are bringing specific skills that can match up with our community needs. So it's kind of a balance of all of those things. And the number has been within memory, I would say the number has ranged from 18 to 34 per year. So it is somewhat variable. Sometimes, there'll be a group with multiple offers around the country, your 4.0 perfect profile kind of person. And we have other people who are just dead set on being here. So it's kind of a process of figuring out who really wants to be here, who's going to be a really great match for the program. So that's about it. In terms of the benefits, what we have listed here is what we're currently providing the fellows. Everyone who comes in receives what we call full base tuition, and that includes resident and non-resident tuition. There has been a $4,000 cash award, what we've called an outreach scholarship, that's need-based over the last number of years, and that's been broken up into $2,000 per semester and has covered some extra fees, health insurance, that sort of thing. We have an annual budget of $80,000 in work study, which we've typically awarded to the incoming cohort. And that's been not something else you need to do, but something you can take advantage of for an internship if you like. And a lot of times, second-year fellows this year in particular, quite a few received additional work study awards. So I think our total budget was actually higher than the $80,000. So right now the value is running at about close to $70,000 for the 2-year period. That's not the best funded Coverdell Fellows program, but we know it's very competitive and is pretty high up when you line up all the programs and compare. We've also provide professional development opportunities, really great transition support for people that are returning to country and moving here from who knows where. And we'll talk a little bit more about the program. I will add on that we do expect some changes in the next year. And I don't want to say too much at this point because we're fleshing out the details, but we're going to be able to provide what we're calling an outreach assistantship, a quarter-time outreach assistantship. So the benefits related to a graduate assistantship are going to replace some of what you're seeing here, which is cobbled together a bit. So we're in the process of sorting that out, comparing how it relates, and I think that it compares really favorably and is going to provide income and health insurance over the course of the year. So in terms of stability of the program, we're very excited about the change. But that's all I'm going to say about it right now because I don't know anything else. All right, moving on.
Okay, so all of this is a great deal, and in exchange, you have some requirements to fulfill if you're chosen as a fellow. So throughout the 2 years, we estimate that you'll give back to the community about 900 hours. So that averages out to 450 hours per year. And that's divided among these 4 big groupings of activities. So the main bulk will be in your internship, which needs to serve an underserved domestic community. That could be in the Tucson area. If you do want to do your internship over the summer, between summers, that's fine, as long as it's here, based in the United States or one of the territories. It's one of the main requirements that's passed down from DC. So it's not really our choice of where it has to be, but that's part of the Coverdell package. The second one is service projects. So throughout the year, we require that you participate in 3 group projects. That can be this past weekend or 2 weekends ago, we had Ciclovia, which is a service project all day on Sundays. For about 3 hours, you're out on the streets helping guide traffic for our biannual closing down the streets of Tucson to bikers and walkers and pedestrians and whatnot. There's other projects such as the community food bank, the literacy fair in March. There's just a variety of projects. So we require that you participate in at least 3 throughout the year. And also we have our outreach activities where you are combining K through 12 outreach, which is third goal Peace Corps, talking to students about your service, talking to them about what it's like to live in your host country, etc., as well as our big Peace Corps fair that we hold annually. That's considered your outreach hours, where we put on display for a whole Friday afternoon where you served, what the folks are like there, what you can share about your host country to the Tucson community. And that's held right here on campus. And lastly, we have various professional and leadership development opportunities throughout the year. These can be counted towards your professional degree. So if you are studying to be a business person, an MBA, and you go to some seminar that is talking about how to better manage your group, that can count as a professional development hours. Or if you're involved in any of the committees in your department, that can count towards leadership development. So I know in public health, we have lots of conferences that occur throughout the year, and many of the fellows over there are involved in organizing and executing those conferences, and that counts towards leadership development. So those are the requirements that we have. Are there any questions up to this point? We've been throwing lots of information about our program to you. This is your chance to kind of catch your breath and see if there's anything we haven't discussed before we head into what the future holds. Oh, and we have a guest here. The guest, could you write your name next to your, type your name into the little chat box so we can see who you are. As far as the leadership development, is that organizing or just attending a conference? So leadership development would be the organizing of the conference, and professional development could be considered attending the conference. There's 2 different categories that you would report to, but they're clumped under the same sort of overarching category of professional development. Great question, Sarah. as I'd mentioned, throughout the year, we also have a Peace Corps Fellows Club, and the officers of the club help organize all of the professional development events that are hosted by the Coverdell office. Welcome, Sophia. We have lots of Paraguayans here today. I'm excited. Also seeking MPH. Are you all in the same capital, Asuncion? Alrighty, if there's no questions up to this point, and as I said, feel free to ask questions as we go. We're reading the questions as we're going through the presentation, so just interrupt us as necessary. So passing it back to Georgia.
So a big question comes up with what am I going to do in this community I don't know anything about? And also, am I able to do that and graduate on time? And what happens after graduation if I end up in Tucson, Arizona and get a degree there? Will I be able to go back to Africa and work successfully with the State Department? So we help with the internship placement. This morning I told Jaylyn I had coffee with someone from Sky Island Alliance this morning, and we've set up some new agreements already. Here in Tucson, we're really known for the number of nonprofit organizations in the community. There's something like one nonprofit for every 365 people, and we're actually a metro area of 1 million people or more. So we have had really long-lasting relationships in the nonprofit community. I have a long history of community work and nonprofit work, so that was something I've been able to bring to the community. And then many of our fellows and alums have also brought organizations into our portfolio of agencies. I'm always excited when our alums have taken jobs in the Southern Arizona area and are able to bring on fellows themselves after having served as fellows. The photo on the right of your screen shows a little room with a bunch of tables. So part of our orientation the week before school starts in August is preparing and holding an internship fair. So we usually invite about 35 organizations to come in. And this is, first of all, it's a great introduction to the Tucson community. We have all the different topics represented that we work in: public health, education, environment, business, etc., public administration. So it's a great way to just sort of get to know the community through some of what we think are the stronger nonprofit organizations. And we'll also have outreach units of the university involved. We have a number of great outreach units on campus, as we are a land grant institution. And it's one of those events where we ask everybody to work the room. The agencies have received the resumes of the incoming fellows, and it's a time to meet and greet, practice your elevator speech in real time, and set up appointments for interviews. So it's not uncommon to have 3 or more interviews out of the internship fair. That's kind of your goal. Some people work it out over the summer, especially if they have Tucson connections or are already in school here. But it's a really great event to attend. We'll always have a few second years that come in, and it's really a group of agencies that knows the skills and benefits that Peace Corps returnees bring to the community. So it's a very appreciative and knowledgeable group that comes to this. We have a lot of issues in Southern Arizona that I think are compatible with typical return Peace Corps volunteer interests. We'll talk about that community, but we have a large migrant population here. We have a very large refugee population. ESL issues are everywhere. There are something like 67 languages spoken in the Tucson Unified School District. Water issues are enormous, environmental invasive species, environment, economics. You got it all. You're working on the border here, and in the early years I used to just say, come on down. It's like continuing service and Peace Corps here. And it's just a delightful, wonderfully diverse community. In terms of the kinds of jobs that fellows get after graduation, I would refer you to our website, which is grad.arizona.edu/Peace Corps, and look in the section called People at Alumni. And Jalen's just been updating it. We're about to move to a new site, so this one is, getting a little tired, but bear with us. And you can look at all our alumni listings from the dawn of time, really, and you'll see the progression that happens. I keep adding new jobs as people get them and report them to me. We have, even out of our current crop of fellows, 2 of them are currently waiting for State Department diplomatic postings. We have people working all over the world, all over the United States, and some have elected to remain here, either for a short period of time or for a longer period of time. So we're very successful in placing people in all sectors: business, education, nonprofits, government. So we're really pleased, and you'll see the kinds of leadership positions that some of our fellows have. So it's been a great stepping stone to whatever you want to do. And one of my favorite stories is this last spring, one of our graduates in public health took a job with Catholic Relief Services. In fact, 2 of our alums were in the current class. And Erin is posted to Madagascar. She came back from a training and walked in and kind of squinted her eyes at me and said, "My boss says he knows you." And it was one of our early alums, Jim Hazen, who is working for them in Madagascar. And Jim has been a Mickey Leland Hunger Fellow. He's worked abroad in Africa for a long time. So not only are fellows at home hiring, or our alums are hiring fellows, we've got them connecting around the world, which is just really exciting to me. Networking is really important. Okay.
So, this is wonderful news. How can you become a fellow? So our priority deadline is coming up quick. It's already November, and the first deadline is January 15th, 2016. We highly recommend that you try to get your application in at this time. A bulk of our applicants come in the December and January time frame, and we've already been accepting a few. I have a handful of applications that have already come through. So if you're thinking about it, I would recommend taking one of those rainy days off and just filling out your application, doing your essays, and uploading it when you have clear internet skies. We do accept applications up through March 1st, and then afterwards it's kind of a rolling basis where if we still have room, we can accept more applications, but usually we're pretty full by the March 1st deadline.
This next question doesn't really fit very well anywhere, but I know that every university and college has a slightly different organization, so half the task in applying to grad school is figuring out who does what and who do you need to ask. So I just want to point out that our Peace Corps Fellows program is interdisciplinary here, and it's managed through the Graduate College, which is the officially admitting and graduating entity. However, your admission is primarily decided by the academic unit to which you are applying. And even though we coordinate with them, it's really up to each academic unit to determine their own requirements above and beyond our university standards. So questions like, what GRE score do I need to have, or I have a GPA problem from some semester, or la la la. A lot of that should really be directed to your academic graduate coordinator. And there's a little link on the top arrow to the graduate college webpage, but this is the sneaky place to find out as much as is published about the requirements of your department. So click on programs, search on the degree or the department that you're looking for, and it'll take you to a really handy little overview of what's required, and most importantly, who to contact in the academic program if you haven't already figured it out. And sometimes there are changes, or if somebody's not getting back to you, let us know. We can facilitate that sort of thing. But it really is up to each academic unit, which establishes an admissions committee. Someone will be reading your application, they'll take it to the committee, and they'll make a decision on it. And I do recommend that you apply on the early side to the academic program. It just is a little bit easier. The programs are a little more open in the beginning. Funding is a little more open. So try to work really hard and get your academic applications submitted on the early side of being timely. As for Peace Corps Fellow questions, we're happy to discuss any issues that you have. Sometimes people can't really sort out which department to apply to, so we can give you some advice on that. We're pretty knowledgeable of the bigger picture, and we want you to find the right match before you start, not after. We accept the online Peace Corps Fellows application. It is a separate application from the academic application, and we also work on your funding package along with coordinating that with your department. We're pros on how to move to Tucson and make it as easy as possible, and we have a great Moving to Tucson guide, which departments like so much they keep sending it out, so you may, wouldn't be surprised if you get it twice, but we have the inside scoop. Written by fellows for fellows. We manage the fellows orientation. We can talk to you about dates, and check us out on our website.
Are there any additional questions up to this point? I think we had a late joiner. Alyssa, do you mind introducing yourself? Where are you signing in from, and what country did you serve in? Please. I would also like to highlight for the application, I think we already discussed it a little bit, but we really we really take the most weight into the essays that you write. So spend some time on those. Don't try to whip it out January 14th. Make sure that you're thinking ahead and have someone spell check it. I know as a returned Peace Corps volunteer, my English is not always that wonderful. So make sure somebody, maybe based in the States, can read it for you to make sure it all makes sense still. No Spanglish or any other language combinations. Let's see, Alyssa. Hello from Morocco. And are you already back? Or are you still there? I think you're still there. So we'll be seeing a few of you in a few months, it seems, hopefully. If we meet the January 15th deadline, when will we find out about acceptance?
All right. Well, the review process begins as soon as the applications are received, and we've already got some, but we'll be parsing them out, and we do a little norming process with our readers. And as much as I'd like to say you'll find out within 4 weeks, Peace Corps Week will be happening within 4 weeks. So we'll get through the Peace Corps Week celebration, which is going to be the end of February for us. and then we'll try to start making our offers as soon as we have confirmation from the academic units. And I would say that if you hear from your academic unit, we aren't always automatically notified. Public health is really good about it. Several departments are very good. Others, not so good. So keep us in the loop. It doesn't hurt to keep us in the loop when you hear something from your department. And we usually give our readers several weeks to review and give us comments. Sometimes we need to clarify a few things. And then we do our internal review and look at the money and all of that. So I would say typically March might be the earliest, maybe mid to late March, that you'll hear from us. There are a few programs that do really early admissions, so we will try to hustle in that kind of a situation so you have all the information you need. There is a national deadline of April 15th. That the Council of Graduate Schools has for participating schools. We're a signer to this agreement. So there is pressure for grad students at applying to the schools that participate in this to make a decision by April 15th. That does not mean, and we definitely try to have our first round of offers out by that time. After April 15th, I try not to get too far ahead, but after April 15th, there will still be additional offers because not all offers given are going to be accepted. If somebody has applied to a dozen schools and gets 6 offers, they're going to be turning 5 schools down, so 5 slots open up at those schools. So it just kind of winds down, and don't be offended if you don't get an offer immediately. Sometimes it just is random in terms of the order that your application is read. We do have a lot of applications. We usually have, by early March, we'll probably have 75 applications in hand, and different academic units are quicker and slower about reviewing also. So there are a lot of factors. You can speed it along by getting all of your information submitted on time, being careful, doing a great job on your application. If you're in the States and can visit, I honestly encourage that. I think it helps the academic unit, and we're always happy to meet fellows as well. Any other questions here?
Yeah, for graduate school.
The GRE score is a requirement of the academic units, and I haven't seen that on there. That could be something new, I suppose. Usually for funding, what we ask is that people file the FAFSA form for need-based aid, which is also a requirement for Peace Corps Fellows funding, is to have that submitted. Jonanna, I will look into that and let you know. I just don't know any more about that. All right, I think we're ready to move on.
Alrighty, so what should you do between now and spring? Like we have been saying, submit both your academic and Coverdell Fellows applications. We cannot move on unless you are accepted into the academic program. Be sure to file your FAFSA by March 1st. That helps us with the financing of everything for all the different fellows. As Georgia mentioned, it's always wonderful if you can come visit us. We appreciate it, especially if you can come during Peace Corps Week, which our huge fair will be on February 26th this year. If you can come for the activities throughout the week, that would be wonderful, representing your host country with other fellows. Maybe you already know some of them who are here already and they've passed along the information about our program. But that would be a great opportunity.
Yeah. Our Peace Corps Fair, we call it our world famous Peace Corps Fair, usually attracts a lot of luminaries from the Washington, D.C. office. This photo is from last February in 2015, and Malia Egger, who's in the third goal office, is on the front row seated, second person. Catherine Thorup is standing and was the person that developed the strategic plan for U.S. Peace Corps, or who put it together, has Tucson roots actually. And Malia visits us whenever she can. We usually have recruiters here from the Dallas office, or Phoenix, or all of the above, or Chicago, or Washington, D.C., everywhere. One thing about Tucson is Jack Vaughn, who was the second director of U.S. Peace Corps, passed within 2 years ago, I think. But he lived here for many years, and he and his wife, Lefty Vaughn, are great friends of our program, and we're always they always come to. Lefty came to the fair with her family last year, and Jack and Lefty would always come. It's a very interactive experience, and we have a lot of fun at it. We do dancing, and we'll usually have about 600 or so people come to the fair and enjoy the day. We had 167 Peace Corps and community exhibitors last year. So if you're still in country and you're thinking you want to come here, bring some swag back with you to use for the fair. And we're happy to let any returned Peace Corps volunteer exhibit at the event. So even if you're just passing through town, we'll team you up with the folks from your country and hang out, visit. It's not only an important event to share your experience with the larger community. We find that the fellows really enjoy seeing and hearing about the experience that all the fellows had, and we do a lot of fun things with it. So next up.
Is Tucson a cool place to live? My vote is yes. I am an original East Coaster from New England, and I find myself in the Southwest Desert, and I really enjoy it here. Even Sarah agrees. Tucson is cool. There's just, as George had mentioned earlier, and we keep resonating throughout this presentation, it just brings together such an eclectic group of individuals of different communities here in Tucson. We have such a large influence from the border life and from the Native Americans that live here in Arizona. Even your classmates are going to be a handful of different individuals from all over the world. And I feel really lucky to be able to experience this here in Tucson, such a melting pot subdivision of the United States. If you're into adventure, there's lots of mountain biking and hiking. Close by, about an hour away, is Mount Lemmon, which is probably 30 degrees today up there in the mountains. It's already snowed. You can go skiing up there during the wintertime. I don't think there is great mountains as in Colorado, but you can still get skiing in if that's important to you. This weekend coming up, we have, not this weekend, today is the weekend. Next weekend is the Tour de Tucson, which it's one of the largest biking races across the country. We have hundreds of individuals, cyclists that come in to bicycle it, and it's a big fundraising event for many of the smaller organizations here in Tucson. We just had our All Souls procession last weekend, where we really marry the relationship between Mexican culture and Southwestern culture and honor all the lives lost of family members. We have a large procession that's about 3 hours long, that walks through downtown Tucson to the old sanctuary, St. Augustine Sanctuary, and it's just lots of fun to see everybody come out with their faces painted and their dress and just honoring their loved ones in all different styles. We have lots of food, lots of different food. That's probably one of my favorite parts. The Sonoran hot dog is great. They have vegan versions if that is up your alley. Thank you, Sarah. Yes, we have second Saturday, so every second Saturday of the month, the downtown Tucson shuts down to cars and just, well, not all cars, but it shuts down and a bunch of vendors come out and sell their artisan goods, and there's lots of food trucks and live music that plays throughout the evening. And Tucson Meet Yourself is just an opportunity to really meet what is happening in Tucson in your own backyard. There's lots of different agencies and groups that are doing wonderful things in this community. And luckily, as a fellow, Georgia is connected to everyone. She's just a big web of information, so you really get to integrate yourself early on into this Tucson community. As I'm sure all of you remember the first couple months of being Peace Corps volunteers, doesn't take that long to integrate to Tucson because you just have such a support system from other RPCVs and lots of people who are like-minded, who are interested in social justice issues that a lot of Peace Corps volunteers find themselves interested in. Anything else I'm forgetting?
We're a winter visitor destination, and the university has around 45,000 students, so the place really comes alive over the fall and winter and spring. I enjoy the summer myself, but I'm an old desert rat, so it does get hot here in the summer, but it's really nice the rest of the year. And Arizona is just one of those amazing states with so much public land and diversity that you can really experience aspects of the whole United States here. It's got water, mountains, desert, all of those things. So it's easy to sort of look at the public press on Arizona, but I would say Tucson is definitely a comfortable community for return Peace Corps volunteers. On the whole, it's a very tolerant community, very respectful and interested in the various cultures that are here, and everybody just gets along. I mentioned I met with Sky Island Alliance today, and the person that I was meeting with who works with restoration of habitat was saying, it kind of reminded me, she was saying, when I moved here I couldn't believe how many people would smile at me. And I went, yeah, when I moved back here from Ohio, I remember being in a store and someone was smiling at me, and I'm thinking, why are they smiling at me? But it's a really kind of friendly place with people from everywhere and people who are interested in each other, and a really loving kind of supportive community. So we hope you will apply. And Sarah added on a note that Arizona is generally in the red column, but Pima County, where Tucson is definitely blue. So not all Peace Corps volunteers are blue. I've had a few, but we also have a fairly large we have an Air Force base here and an Army base nearby in Fort Huachuca. So it's part of the diversity here. And we appreciate and get along with everybody. So thanks for adding in, Sarah. Has anybody else visited Tucson before or is familiar with Arizona? Can you type in a yes or a no?
No, I wasn't before I was accepted. I had this magical idea of what the Southwest was. And so far it's panning out. It's still magical.
And for those of you who are near water and green, it's about 4 hours to Baja. And water, it's pretty easy to get to Mexico here. We literally are, I think, 45 kilometers from the border, something like that. Not very far at all. This last summer, you're not required to stay in Tucson in the summer. We had 5 or 6 people who had fellowship funding to go to sometimes to their old stomping grounds for Peace Corps, or to do research, or to do research in Latin America. We just had a Tinker Symposium, and 5 of the 17 presenters were returned Peace Corps volunteers. Great.
New Hampshire.
Yeah.
What part of New Hampshire? I'm from Wakefield, New Hampshire. Portsmouth. Ah.
All right. There you go. So So be brave. We've had applicants from all over the country, and we would welcome you to apply and hope that you will be able to join us here.
Yeah, are there any lingering questions before we sign off? You have lots of information to digest, lots of work to do your applications. You have about 2 months before the first deadline. Janana grew up in Phoenix.
Oh, great.
It is a cool community. I will be posting this webinar to the website as soon as I can figure that out. Thank you, Colin. It was wonderful. Well, good luck finishing up your service.
And if you have any additional questions, let us know. We're just an email or often a phone call away. And we appreciate, for those of you who are in country, if you can share any of this information with others who are interested, let us know. We asked our current fellows to post information about the webinar on their country pages, so spread the word, and we'll look forward to hearing more from you. Thank you.
Thanks, and happy Friday the 13th.
Signing off. Good night. Or good day, I should say.